Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Yet another episode of Crushing Fantasy Football. I am Bryce Lockridge, your host of the show. All right, guys, good to be back. I haven't posted in about a month. I wanted to give you all a little bit of a break between the end of the season and now. Some people might think it's a little bit early to start posting fantasy football content for 2024, but I'm here to do it for you guys. Let's go ahead and start getting ready for next season. And really what I'm going to be doing is underdog drafts are open, right? So I'm going to be giving you guys my value picks. I'm already a few drafts deep on underdog for 2024, so I don't know if you've drafted yet or not, but whether you have yet or not, I have some picks for you guys that I think are going to be great values. And these early drafts, we typically can get players at an absolute steal if we know that their situation is going to improve significantly, if we know their ADP is going to shoot up significantly. So I'm going to give you this list here. I'm going to start with the first player on my list, and that's Zamir White. Now, this is a guy who could end up being the starting back. We don't know what's going to happen with Josh Jacobs. I don't particularly think that Josh Jacobs wants to play for the Vegas Raiders. This dude wants to win. He wants to get a bag. I don't know if he's going to get the money he wants or the potential to win in Las Vegas. I just don't think that's going to happen. He's a good player. He wants to go to a good team where he can fit into a system where he can actually do something with his career. I don't think he wants to be stuck in Las Vegas forever. We saw Zamir White towards the end of the season take over the workhorse role, and I was astounded at the yards per carry efficiency because if you look at Josh Jacobs, he only averaged 3.5 yards a carry throughout the season, and that's very much because the offensive line was atrocious to start the year. They really never got that much better, but they improved a little bit as the season went along. And then the small sample we had was Zamir White, 4.3 yards per carry, almost a yard per carry better than Josh Jacobs. Now, I'm not by any means saying that Zamir White is the better back, but in the small sample we had with him last year where he took over that workhorse role when Josh Jacobs was hurt, he was highly efficient. And he was giving you a great floor and even a pretty decent ceiling filling in for Josh Jacobs. He's going in rounds 10 or 11 right now in underdog drafts. To me, this is an absolute steal considering the fact that he has immense upside if Josh Jacobs leaves the team. We know that there's really no backup behind Zamir White at this current time that's going to come in and take the brunt of the carry. So this guy's an absolute workhorse if Josh Jacobs is no longer on the team. I think that is definitely a possibility. Might even say that it's likely that Josh Jacobs is not on the Raiders next year. Zamir White's potentially in for a huge role, and you could get him in rounds 10 or 11. Right now, take Zamir White. He's a massive steal. Next player on my list is going to be Stefon Diggs, going in round 3. Now, we have a large enough sample size with Stefon Diggs to not freak out over a half of a season. Right? I mean, a half of a season for Stefon Diggs, the way the season ended was terrible, right? But I think that, this might be good coming into the 2024 season because now people are going to be sleeping on him. He's no longer a consensus first-round pick. I think he will absolutely be a consensus second-round pick as we get closer to the season. But as of right now, he's going in round 3 pretty often, which is mind-blowing to me. We have a large enough sample with this dude. We know who he is. I don't necessarily think there's a 100% chance that he's playing in Buffalo next year. Could go somewhere else. But if he stays in Buffalo, you look at the situation, Gabe Davis is a free agent. He's probably not going to be on the team anymore. It's not like he siphoned that many targets away from Stefon Diggs anyway, but it's even more targets for Stefon Diggs. I think that if Gabe Davis leads the team and Stefon Diggs stays on the team, we're going to see a combination of targets going around for Stefon Diggs, Khalil Shakir, and Dalton Kincaid, with Diggs and Kincaid still being the main target hog, with Diggs still being the main target hog as a wide receiver, because even though he totally collapsed in the second half of the year, the targets were still there. It just wasn't converting. The efficiency just wasn't there, right? But that doesn't mean that the efficiency is not going to be there next season, right? Sometimes these things happen. I mean, Pat Mahomes was a total bust throughout the entire course of the season, right, as far as a fantasy perspective. So these things just kind of happen. But when you have a large sample on a player, you don't want to freak out over half a season. In fact, you want to take advantage of this. People are going to be freaking out. Right now, you could get him in round 3. I assure you, no matter what happens, unless he goes to another team where he's in a really bad situation, he's going to be a consensus second-round pick in a few months from now, maybe a month from now. So take advantage of him going in round 3 right now. Next player on my list is going to be Demarcus Robinson. Now, what we have with the Rams is we have a team that is led by Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp as far as, the main target hog wide receivers. And Kyron Williams gets a decent target share, But when all the receivers were healthy late in the season, he wasn't getting as many targets. So I don't think we have to worry about Kyren Williams siphoning off like too many targets from the wide receivers. I think the majority of targets are going to be to the wideouts on this team. It's a wide receiver heavy team. We've got Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp up top, who are going to be the main target hogs on the team. But Demarcus Robinson, as the season went along, you look at him in week 14, he had 10 targets against Baltimore. In week 17, he had 10 targets against the New York Giants. Compare that to Tutu Atwell, who only had 10 targets over the final 6 games. Now, with that being said, I don't think that Demarcus Robinson is a special talent. You know, he's not overly big or overly fast or athletic or anything like that. But he's a lot bigger than Tutu Atwell, right? You know, we've got a full-size 6'1" wide receiver who actually could end up coming out and, you know, getting 4 or 5 targets a game, right? And if Puka Nacua or Cooper Kupp get hurt, maybe 7 targets a game, right? So we've got a player that's going at the earliest in round 17, sometimes as late as round 20 in these new drafts that have 20 draft slots available. So you can get this guy with like the last pick in your draft, and he's actually got some pretty decent upside considering how we saw the target volume go up, and he started to get fed a lot more targets as the season went along, especially late in the season. So I think that this guy's the number 3 wide receiver on the team. I really do. And with that being said, I think he's an awesome late-round value. Next player on my list is going to be Kyler Murray. Now, this one is laughable to me. I mean, Kyler Murray is going off the board as like the quarterback 12 right now. And he has never finished as low as the quarterback 12. His worst fantasy finish ever was his rookie year where he was quarterback 11. After that, you have quarterback 3 as far as fantasy points per game in his second season. Quarterback 4, quarterback 7, right? Now, the Cardinals, right? What are they going to do with Marquise Brown? Is he going to have a main target hog? Well, I'll tell you this. Trey McBride is the real deal. So even if, for whatever reason, they don't address the wide receiver need that they have Trey McBride. And he's essentially like a wide receiver playing the tight end position. That dude is a special talent. I mean, he's actually borderline unstoppable. If you were watching him this year, this dude is a highly talented pass-catching wide receiver. So we know that he has that. And then you look at the fact that I wouldn't be surprised at all if Marvin Harrison Jr. ended up on the Cardinals. I mean, they have the 4th overall pick in the draft. Marvin Harrison Jr. very well might be staring them in the face with their first-round pick at pick number 4. And considering that wide receiver is one of the biggest needs that they need to fill, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they drafted Marvin Harrison Jr. So we could have a combination of Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride, and that offense would be really darn good if they had that. So they could far exceed expectations if they're able to take Marvin Harrison Jr. in the draft. Even if they don't, right, maybe they re-sign Marquise Brown. I don't know. He's a free agent. Is he washed? You know, who knows? He's a little bit older, right? I don't think we want to rely too heavily on Marquise Brown, but we do know at least that if he does re-sign with the team does have a wide receiver 1, right? He might be more of a low-end wide receiver 1 these days or a high-end wide receiver 2, but he's still a good option that could come out and get 8 to 10 targets a game and actually give Kyler Murray a wide receiver to throw the ball to. And, you know, they might get Marvin Harrison Jr. So regardless of this, we know that Kyler Murray has tremendous rushing upside, right? So, you know, whenever we really get going this season, I think that people are going to realize they made a huge mistake drafting Kyler Murray as low as they did. I think that his ADP, though, is going to climb as we get closer and closer to the season. But right now he's going off the board as like the 12th quarterback. This absolutely blows my mind. This dude will not finish that low. His deep ball passing abilities are too good. He's too good of a runner. He's too good of an overall player to finish as low as the quarterback 12. He is the best value right now at the quarterback position. Next and final player on my list is going to be Josh Downs. Now, Josh Downs, his rookie year, 17.9% team target share. Not a bad team target share for a rookie. He had a stretch where he was like, I mean, he was the main waiver wire target. I mean, people were going after him like crazy on the waiver wire because he strung together like 3 really good weeks in a row. I think that this Colts offense is improving significantly. They showed it down the stretch. And I think they have the potential to be a decent offense next year, especially with a healthy Jonathan Taylor. He also got 11 red zone targets. So despite being a smaller guy that has that notorious build of a field stretcher, you know, because he's super fast and he's like 5'9", he's still getting targeted in the red zone. So he has the potential to, you know, at least accumulate some touchdowns for you. And he's got the speed and big playability as well. So I like Josh Downs going in round 9 right now. I think he's a breakout candidate. And he's going to far pass Alec Pierce as far as the number 2 wide receiver on the team after Michael Pittman Jr. All right, guys, those are my value picks for underdog drafts right now. Good to be back. Catch y'all later.